What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review, and today I am doing only one review this weekend, and that's just because this was the only one that I managed to find that was of any interest. The other ones I was planning on doing had some issues, so this is the only one we're going to get this weekend, and that is the latest offering from Temple of Void, The Crawl. This came out on March 6th, this time on Relapse Records. This is their second album on Relapse. Overall, this is their fifth studio full-length overall. I went over the last album, Summoning the Slayer, and I thought it was an awesome, straight-up Death Doom album, and that is what this band is of course a big pillar in American Death Doom. However, I will say this album is notably very different from their past albums at the very least. Well, first of all, we get Kurt Ballou from Converge as the producer, or at least mixing and mastering the album, which I will go ahead and say this album sounds filthy, grimy, nasty in terms of the tones and the mix and everything about it. I will say, musically though, this is, like I said, notably different than at least their last album, whereas this one, I'll explain it, excuse me, I'm sorry again, as I keep going along. So we kick off with Poison Icon. Right away you get this like really cool lead melody, and it's into this like all of a sudden this big like almost classic heavy metal gallop, but done in this like nasty heavy death metal way, but it just comes out swinging in a big way. And then it gets into like some minor double time stomps, and it's a little more groove oriented than anything else. But another thing that does stand out about this album that shows up on quite a few songs is good use of clean melodies to kind of add um, some extra zest to this like awesome, delicious gourmet salad, you could say. But then all of a sudden, you get like these big machine gun riffs that almost feel like speed metal riffs or even like slower thrash metal. But dare I say, I would say across the board on this album, one of the main influences I hear is like early Mastodon. Like Remission, Leviathan, and to a lesser degree, Blood Mountain, like the very early Mastodon stuff. I hear that in a lot of these songs, and it's very, very interesting considering, like I said, this is a Death Doom band. But of course, it ends with some really cool bass melodies and tribal drums, which I will say the bass is one of the big, like, centerpieces of this album. Like, you get notable bass lines, bass melodies, really on every single song for the most part. But I would say the particular bass line that I thought was the most interesting in terms of the mood and what else is going on would be in the track in the middle, A Dead Issue. You get a bass groove, but you get like these atonal guitar progressions on top, which is made for a really interesting moment within the song that almost makes it feel like it's kind of lurching on you a little bit. But really, when it comes down to how this album is different from at least Summoning the Slayer, not as much in the way of doom on here. Like, you only get, like, doom moments, but not really, like, death doom. Like, the closest you get to, like, doomy moments would be the doomy clean melodies on the title track, the brief doomy riff on Thy Mountain Eternal, and a brief doomy riff on The Twin Stranger. Like, those are really the only moments where it feels like Death Doom. This, I feel like, for the most part, musically feels a little closer to, dare I say, sludge metal with death metal vocals on top of it, because there is so much in the way of, like, sludgy riffing on here. It's kind of makes this album stand out in comparison to everything else that I have known about with this band. Like, I would say the song Godless Cynic, this one definitely, I feel, kind of showcases a little bit more groove, a little bit more swagger behind it. Like it's almost to the level of like early Black Sabbath. Well, not like the doomy sense, but in like the almost like triplet galloping, swinging groove. But you do get some tremolo riffs and atonal melodies to go on top. But then another thing that shows up, at least on a couple of tracks, D beats, like faster sections to kind of give it a little bit more of like an early death metal vibe, but with like a sludgy sound. But of course, there's more chugging guitar on here, like Godless Cynic, but also the title track, the Twin Stranger. Like, there's some real pronounced, like, chugging riffs going on there to, again, add a little bit more heft and a little bit more grime to the overall songwriting. But you also get some, like, other instruments coming in. Like, in the opening of A Dead Issue, it sounds like electronics, but then it leads into sludgy riffs with I want to say it sounds like a Hammond organ going on in the background, which was really really cool to kind of add a little bit of, I want to say, like a slightly like early 70s Deep Purple vibe. Like if you've heard John Lord on the Hammond organ, it sounds powerful. But also the song has like more rock oriented riffs, but it's catchy as all get out. But the song Thy Mountain Eternal, like, this one starts off with a clean melody before you do get some doomy riffs, but then they turn sludgy and it's triplets all over the place and there's mastodon parts all over. But you also get some like cool Opeth moments, like there's some more sullen wow, my voice went away there. Sullen melodies going on, and even some like more low end tremolo to kind of give it a little bit more of like that death metal vibe. And even the ending of the song was just quite soothing, which I will say, lead work wise, some really cool, like, atmospheric lead sections. But the song Soul Burn is really where I think the sludginess comes full swing at the beginning. Like, the way it starts is totally sludgy, and but yet it's melodic, but yet you turn it into a rocking rhythm with a bass line on top, and then you get like machine gun riffs and D beats, even a mellotron to kind of add like a more haunting layer on top of everything. And I will say, when harmonies show up, they mainly show up on the last two tracks, but the closer, the Twin Stranger, is basically everything this album has to offer wrapped up into one. Somber melodies, there's brief moments of doom, machine gun riffs, D beats, is sludgy, you get chugs, brief tremolo riffs, harmonies, the whole nine yards. So, yeah, if anything, this album I feel is more like a hybrid of death metal and sludge metal, more on the sludge metal side. Like, hell, I got moments of like Wolverine Blues era Entombed on here at times. So, but more so like early Mastodon, I get some nods to. Even to a lesser degree, Electric Messiah era High on Fire is also what I got on here too. As far as any negatives go, this does feel like a slight stark contrast to where they've been before with that more heavy primal death doom sound, whereas this sounds like they're one to evolve their sound a little bit and get a little bit more towards like mid-tempo and like sludge metal oriented stuff. I could be wrong in that, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think. However, for me, despite the subtleties on this album being different from what I've heard before, this was still a great album. Like, they executed it very well. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. I thought this was, for the most part, fun to listen to, and curious to see if they keep going down this path and see if maybe they can get things more refined as they go along. So in this case, if you're a fan of, I would say, later High on Fire, early Mastodon, but also like middle era Entombed, I'd say check this out. There's some cool stuff going on here. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you for watching. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.